I want to talk to you a little bit about what I kind of envisioned as a bridge. It's a bridge that all of us as Evergreen CEOs are going to have to cross. It can be a really, really scary bridge too, especially for those of us who are founders. And you think about, this really scary bridge you eventually cross. Founders, folks who have been very attached to the business and particularly to the people in the business, I think. So I started crossing this bridge in 2021. And really started thinking about, the way change, happens in a situation like this. This is a huge change for the business, huge change for the entire business ecosystem that I live in, and a huge change for me. Typically, we know most folks are change resistant, but we as leaders, are typically very decisive and view change as just like, we're going, and it's kind of a binary thing, it's on or off. I started thinking about change a little bit more as a dial in this situation, and thought, what if we took this change and we did it in a slow dial approach? Could that be easier on the system, on the business, on all our partners, and on me? So we took that approach. I decided to step into an executive chair role. Justin Jordan, who's been serving with me since 2004, one of my dearest friends, started off as our general manager. I became our COO and then our president, and finally accepted this role. So he was going to step into this role, and we decided this was going to be the best approach for us. Now, I've been talking to a number of you about this for the last few years. Some of you have been kind of on this journey with me in parallel. Some of you are a few steps behind, and some a few steps ahead. But what I have learned is that each one of these scenarios is very unique. Each one deserves a customized approach. And rather than me standing up here and telling you guys, the smartest people I get to hang out with every year, how to do this, I thought what we would do is just to share with you a little bit of our playbook, even some of the documents we shared with our board, to give you a little bit of an insight and some of the homework that we did. Hopefully you can take a few nuggets away from this that may be useful to you when this bridge comes for you, because it's coming. Before we do that, a little bit about the business. Ryan indicated I co-founded a business in 1996 called Essential Ingredients. That business is a wholesale chemical distribution company primarily geared towards selling ingredients that go into your shampoos, lotions, toothpaste, and deodorant, some things that hopefully your neighbor hopes you use this morning. So all the things on the back of your shampoo bottle, those are the things that Essential Ingredients sells all over the United States and in Canada. In 2011, we decided to go ESOP with that, and that worked very, very well for us. About 2 years later, I started sensing, just a little bit of strain in the business, and we were having some scaling issues. And I put my finger on it. It was because we hadn't changed our management structure. We had always led this business as a consulting group, and we didn't have a CEO, believe it or not. Here we were, 17 years into the business, we didn't have a CEO. About $75 million at the time. I was the only guy who was closest to the office. I worked out of headquarters. My other two partners who had sold the business with me were in other parts of the country. So I kind of drew the short straw. The board asked me to step up, and I accepted that role. It started me on a learning journey, really. For the next 24 months, I spent a lot of time reading, visiting with folks. I was introduced to the great game of business and met Jack Stack, and started studying his SRC holding company model. Bill Rourke is a good friend of mine, too, and he had a similar approach. And then not too long after that, I met Dave through a Small Giants conference, and I was introduced to this idea of Evergreen. And I became enthralled and very intrigued with this idea of Evergreen ESOP. So I started copying other people's homework. We formed a holding company called Cathedral Holdings over top of Essential Ingredients at the time. We moved the ESOP up to Cathedral. Cathedrals take hundreds of years to build. They're beautiful. The people that start them don't get to see them finished. So that's why we call it Cathedral Holdings. Since then, we've started launching a number of verticals to diversify our business, which I think is important despite what one of the speakers said yesterday. So we've got a division that's Inspire, which focuses on industrial chemicals. We've got a new warehousing and sampling division called Forium Technologies. So they not only provide logistical services for us as Essential Ingredients and Inspire, but we open that up as third-party warehousing for other folks in sample service. So if you need that help, let me know. And then most recently, I'm working on an expansion into, we haven't picked a name for it yet, but it's an oil and gas expansion into largely the fracking industry. Much of our chemistries have translatable ability over different industries. So we're going to be moving into that. That's thanks to Alan at ITR and Peter Zahan scaring the bejeebas out of me with what's going to happen to us in a few years. So I thought it may be helpful. I'm just going to walk through one of the things. We were making this change, went to the board and said, hey, here's what we want to do. Here, we don't know how we're going to do it. And we formed a subcommittee on the board. And they said, all right, first thing you need to do is go off. You guys spend a day together. Think through the jobs to be done for these roles, particularly for you, Kris, as executive chair, which is a brand new role for us. So we concentrated, Justin and I said, we're going to come up with 5 key things that each of us are going to do and really kind of drill down what's the success look like. So for me as executive chair, we decided on these 5. Continue to evangelize our vision and purpose internally and externally. Things I've always been passionate about are why we exist. Audience there is team, trustee, board, business community, continuing to stay in front of that. And I'm the one who's most passionate about it, so it made sense for me to do that. Obviously, to continue to lead the board in alignment, succession, priorities, and results as executive chair. Mentoring has always been something I've enjoyed doing, both internally and externally, so I decided I was going to take a lot of my energy and focus on our next layer of leaders, and even a layer down. I found myself spending a lot of time with our directors, not just our vice presidents. And our purpose as a company is to be a blessing to others and inspire them to be a blessing as well, so really trying to echo that heart inside of these folks. We've always said we hire character, we train skills. And then I wanted to, I'm the entrepreneur, discover and initiate new venture opportunities, kind of like the oil and gas market I mentioned. We're probably going to go into the agricultural chemicals next. And then serve as a constant sounding board for Justin as the new CEO. So, and he and I have got a really strong habit of that. For Justin, primarily, continue to work on our C-level suite and make sure we got a solid succession plan. Interestingly enough, Justin's retirement is coming up in December of 2026. So here we are, just a few years into his, and we're already looking at the next one, which is going to be a little more challenging. Justin's charged with our strategic planning process, 5-year windows that we typically look at, oversee and achieve those results to support our Evergreen aspirations. I continue to cultivate strong external relationships with suppliers, customers, business leaders. These are folks he hadn't normally spent a lot of time with. Those folks were usually coming to me, so wanted to make sure he was on point for those. We've always been known for service intimacy and excellence, so we wanted to continue just to drill down on that, double down on some of our strengths. And then lastly, grow our balance sheet, particularly for these rainy days that we think might be coming around the corner, making sure we're strong on the cash side so that we can withstand a rainy day. What was interesting is he and I were spending a lot of time about this. We found this area of overlap. We had clear lanes, but there was an area of overlap in the middle. We came up with this Venn diagram where we both wanted to lean into culture, long-term strategy, key leader development, succession planning, and strategic relationships. So we've always had a habit of having same-page meetings about, once a month. He and I will spend a half a day together. And we found ourselves focusing a lot on this area of overlap, primarily because we want to make sure we had clarity, we want to have alignment, and we didn't want to compromise the trust and the friendship we'd spent all these years building. We had a communication plan coming out of all that. Obviously, the board had been involved in this, but our senior leadership team was key. Getting in front of key suppliers, key customers, folks who had been used to coming to me for all these years. And then we rolled it out to our team members, the rest of our suppliers and customer base, and then a public announcement. So lessons learned. I think the world needs more dials. Using dials for major changes like this, I think, was very, very helpful to us. I'm continuing to sit in this seat as executive chair and probably will for a little while, probably beyond the next CEO that's coming, just to make sure we've got some continuity. These regular same-page meetings, I think, are critical to avoid drop balls, maintain open communication and trust. Here's a weird one. Expect to feel left out. The first few times this happened to me, I come to the office. There's a closed-door meeting happening in one of the conference rooms. I kind of peek in the window. There's my whole senior team in there, meeting. And I'm like, what the frick? I have no idea what's going on in that room. I have no idea what they're talking about, and I have not been invited. I go piddling over to my little desk, and I'm like, okay. And you get used to it, but I'm telling you, it slaps you in the face the first few times. And then, finally, give yourself permission to be productive in different ways while still having an impact. For me, again, it shows up as mentoring, a little bit more volunteer work in the church, of philanthropy, serving on other boards, something I've really, really enjoyed. Sharing some of the things I've learned over the years, and bear traps to avoid. So hopefully at the end of this, you got a few of those nuggets. The bridge doesn't look nearly as scary. You got a pack on your back, a few more tools in your toolkit to cross this bridge when the time comes. Thank you.